In this video, I'm going to show you how to build an automated lead scoring and proposal creation system that you can not only use for your own sales calls, but you can sell it to any service-based business. I help builders and freelancers transition to AI consultants who close 4- and 5-figure projects and build scalable businesses. And I'm about to walk you through exactly how to build a system that automatically identifies when your hottest leads are ready to receive a proposal, and it actually creates it for you, ready to hit send. If you're ready to start landing your own consistent, high-ticket AI automation clients, click the link down below and grab my Proof to Profit course in my school community while it's still on sale. It walks you through the exact steps to start landing 4-figure clients and retainers without hustling 24/7. Now let's dive in. Okay, this is the system that we're building. So I use Fathom to record all of my calls, like sales calls with clients, etc. And so basically what we're going to do is use a webhook to capture all of the transcripts that are coming in from Fathom. We're going to send it to message a model. Okay, so here's how this workflow works. So I use Fathom to record all of my calls. And what this webhook does is it's going to capture all the transcripts as soon as they're available. So if I have a client call, it's going to take the transcript, send it to this webhook, going to message a model, which is going to score the lead, capture any next steps that were mentioned on the call. Gonna split that out using a code node, create a record in Airtable, which is gonna look like this. It's gonna capture the business owner's name, email address, phone number, and then all of the different lead scoring criteria. So it's going to provide a score for each, as well as notes from the AI model that we messaged during the workflow. It's also going to provide a transcript for us. And then if on the call I mentioned to the client or the prospective client that I was going to send them a proposal, then that will route it to this message model, which is going to create the proposal. And this is just a recreation of the actual custom GPT that I actually use to craft my client proposals. It's going to format it according to what PandaDoc needs to receive in terms of the formatting. Then it's going to make an API request to actually generate the proposal, which I can then go in, take a quick look at, make any small tweaks that I might need to, and then click send, and it's literally ready to hit send and go off to the client. Okay, so the first thing we actually need to do is, because I'm using Fathom, the requirements are that in order to receive the transcripts via webhook, I actually need to set up the webhook on the Fathom side. And so I've added an HTTP request. I'm going to just add a manual trigger so that we can do this one-time setup with this HTTP request node. So if you're using Fathom, this is how you're going to do it. If you're using another platform like Fireflies or something else, it could be a different process. I don't know. You'll have to look at the API documentation. But for Fathom, this is the URL that we're going to send a post request to. And then this is the header parameter that we're going to send. You're going to paste your API key in here. This is obviously just a placeholder. And then we're going to send a body. Body content type is JSON, and we're going to specify it using JSON. So if I expand this out, you can see this is everything that you want to include in the JSON body that you're sending. And this is just a placeholder webhook. We're going to come back to this in just a second, but this is where you're going to create a webhook trigger in N8N and then paste the production link in here. So if I come back to the canvas, I'm just going to move this stuff down for now. And I'm going to create another node, and I want to add another trigger, and it's going to be on a webhook call. I'm going to change the path to transcript, and then I want to get the production URL. So I'm going to copy this, come back to the canvas, and now I want to take that URL and input it into my HTTP request. So I'm going to scroll down, open this up, and I'm just going to replace my placeholder with the actual webhook that is going to be receiving all of the future webhook payloads from Fathom. Okay, so now I'm going to trigger this bottom part of this workflow to run, and that's going to set up the webhook so that I can start receiving automatically all of the transcripts from my client calls. So I'm just going to click here and click here. Okay, and now it's set up that webhook, so I can go ahead and deactivate these or just delete them. I left them here as a reminder in case I ever need to repeat this process, like for a demo, but I'm just going to set those to the side for now. So now I've got my webhook trigger. I went ahead and pinned some test data in here. So this is all fake data that I just created for the purposes of this demo. But what this represents is it's going to be, you know, the business owner's name, their email address, the call transcript, all of that good stuff. So the next thing I want to do is I want to pass this on to something like Anthropic or OpenAI, but I'm going to message a model. So let's go ahead and just use OpenAI for simplicity. I'm going to use message a model. I'm going to choose GPT-4o. And what I want to do for the user prompt is I just want to pull in the transcript. Now I'm going to be using this expression. So when you see this JSON.stringify, this is basically pulling in a whole bunch of transcript items. So rather than me having to come in and individually grab each of these text items and label them with the speaker every single time, this is the expression that I can use that's going to automatically do that for me. Okay, we're also going to come down here to add a message, and we're going to add a system message. And this is where our system instructions are going to go. So I'm going to paste the prompt that I already created, and we'll open this up so you can see what it looks like. That this is what is doing all of the lead scoring. So it's just giving specific information on formatting, making sure that it's not going to be including anything that I don't want it to, like funky characters or code blocks, code fences, that kind of a thing. So I want it to strictly output in JSON format exactly what I'm looking for. And the reason being, it's going to make it easy for my code node, which is coming next, to parse that information and separate it out the way I need it to map it to Airtable. So you're an AI assistant that scores sales calls between an automation consultant and prospective clients, analyze call transcripts to assess lead qualification for high-ticket AI consulting services. And it gives a little bit of my background, the analysis approach, and then the scoring categories. So these are all the real things that I pay attention to on sales calls. So are they problem aware? Do they actually know that they have a problem that needs to be solved? How urgent is it for them? Like, is this something that they're like, I need this fixed yesterday? Or are they like, I'm just kind of thinking about it, just exploring options at this point? Solution fit. Is what they're looking for a solution that I actually offer? Budget alignment. Do they actually have money to invest in the solution that I'm going to provide for them? Decision-making power. Are they actually the decision maker in the business, or do they need to run it by their partner or their wife or whoever it is? Their objection level. So do they have objections specifically that they mention on the call? Any kind of resistance or hesitations, or, oh, I just need to think about it, or wow, that sounds expensive, or whatever the hesitation or objection might be. Sentiment and openness. Are they cold or argumentative, or do they seem warm and engaged and ready to take the next step? And call momentum. So is there like a natural back and forth, give and take, or is it kind of just awkward, one-sided, where I'm doing all the talking or the client is doing all the talking, but it's not really a good flow in the conversation? Lastly, phone number, and this is just something that I verbally ask for on calls, so that if I need to send a follow-up text like from my personal phone, then that's something I can do. The reason why I do that is because the nearer that somebody gets to the bottom of your funnel, the more personal touch you want to have with them. So that could mean sending a text from your personal phone, or sending an email, or a Slack message, WhatsApp message, whatever the case is. But you really want to show them that you're a human, you're not using AI generated stuff, and you are really giving them a little bit of trust. You're doing some self-disclosure if you're giving them your personal number, because many people will not share that information. They'll hide behind email or a Google Voice number or something like that. And then I have the required JSON structure here. So the model knows exactly how I want it to be formatted. And then I just provide a sample output. So again, in that same format, and that's just to give the model a little bit of additional context. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the canvas, and I'm just going to run this node so that we can start pushing some of this data through. All right, so that went through successfully. Next, I'm going to add a code node, and you'll see why in just a sec. Okay, so this code is something that ChatGPT helped me with, but basically this is the text that is the output from the model. And so I want to format it in a way where it is broken out and not just one big array. And so that is what this code does. And quick tip that I was actually just telling a client the other day is, if you have a specific output and it's not in the format that you need it, come up here to JSON, copy this whole output, then go to ChatGPT or Claude, paste it in there and say, hey, I need this text in this format. Like, tell it how it needs to be formatted and say, I'm working in N8N. I'm using a code node. Please provide me with a code that's going to format it in this way. If you explain it like that, you will never need to watch another tutorial on code nodes again, because you are clearly articulating in your prompt exactly what you need and what context, i.e. you're working in N8N, you're putting together a code node, etc. So we're going to click execute step. We will run this step. All right, and now everything is split out. Next, we're going to connect Airtable. We want to create a record. So I've already got this Airtable base set up, but it's called lead scoring system, and this table is called leads. And then basically it just created a header for each item in that sample JSON structure that we provided the message a model node. Even though I already have this created, I just want to show you a little shortcut. So you can use Omni, which is the built-in kind of AI assistant that lives in Airtable. So because I already have that JSON structure, I can just say, create a table with this structure, and then paste that JSON in here, because otherwise I will have to create it myself and it can take a little bit longer. So it's just kind of a pain in the butt. But if you want AI to just do it for you really quickly, then you could use this. Okay, so coming back over to N8N, I'm going to select the base from the list, so lead scoring system and the leads table. Right, and then I'm just going to map everything across. So I'll start with the name, which I actually get from the webhook trigger. So the name is Bob Jones. We're going to skip business name for now, email, and we'll scroll all the way down to the very bottom for the phone number. Okay, and then I'm going to drag red flags over there, even though there's nothing currently in there. Now what you want to do whenever you're dragging over an array is type in json.stringify and then add parentheses to this part of the expression, that original part of the expression. So that's going to bring in everything that is kind of included underneath. So same thing with positive signals. Otherwise, I'd have to drag across, if there are positive signals, I have to drag across each individual item, and then I might miss some because there could be more than 3. So I'm just going to drag over this entire bit, put the parentheses on this part of the expression, and then I'll just add the json.stringify. So now you can see it's nice and clean in there, where it's just each individual item of these 3 positive signals added really cleanly into one sentence. Then I'm going to come back to the webhook for the transcript. And so the same thing there. I'm going to just drag this in, add the parentheses to this main part of the expression here. And then you can kind of see how it's going to change down below. I'm going to add the json.stringify. Now it's nice and clean for my Airtable database. Okay, so let's execute this step, make sure everything comes across. All right, and now I have 2 Bob Joneses. I'm going to delete the old one and just leave the one that we just ran through. Okay, so now we're at the part of the workflow where we want to add an if node. So basically at this point, we have the lead recorded in Airtable, but we want to parse out any that are ready to receive a proposal from us. So if I specifically mentioned on the call, hey, I'm going to send you a proposal in the next hour or so, want you to look out for it, then that's built into the model system instruction, so it knows, flag this as we're going to send a proposal. So next step is I'm going to add an if node, and we're going to open up the code node, and we're going to scroll down to next step recommendations. So if next step recommendations contains send proposal, go ahead and execute that. So then it will be marked as true, and we can send that on to the next branch in our workflow, which is going to create the proposal and then generate it in PandaDocs. Okay, so now we're going to add another message model node. Again, I'm going to use GPT-4o. Okay, for the user prompt, I want to drop the transcript in here. That's it. So we could just pull this directly from the previous node, which is the if node, just drag the transcript across, and this is already formatted because it's formatted from the previous Airtable step. Okay, and then we want to add a message, and this is going to be our system prompt. Okay, and I'm going to paste in my existing system prompt, but the most important part is this example output format. So it's going to have the exact example. It's going to have all of the formatting that I need, but it's going to have this as the price amount. The reason why that's important is that's how PandaDoc needs to receive the information. So it needs to have the body of the proposal, and then it's going to have the price listed as a separate line. So I'm going to go ahead and execute that step and make sure that it is outputting it in the correct format. And then just to be safe, I'm going to add a code node to ensure that it is indeed in that format. So even if it does output it correctly, that's fantastic. But if it doesn't, I want to add this as kind of a backstop, because otherwise it's going to stop the rest of the workflow, thus defeating the purpose. So again, you can just use ChatGPT or Claude and describe exactly what you want it to do, which I want it to have the proposal text and then the price amount listed as 2 separate fields. Okay, and so now I have the text and the price listed out as 2 separate fields, which is perfect. And the last step is I'm going to add an HTTP node, which is going to create the proposal in PandaDoc. So I can go in and review it. The price is going to be listed on there as well, and it will be ready for me to hit send. So this is what the inside of the node looks like. I'm going to change the name of this to create proposal just so that it's more explicit. But we're calling this URL, so api.pandadoc.com/public/v1/document. So we are creating a new document, and we're going to include this header. So authorization and API-key, and then your API key. Obviously, this is a placeholder. We're going to send body. It's going to be content type JSON using JSON. And then this is just dragged and dropped from the existing nodes. So this is estimate for Bob Jones. And we got this from the webhook trigger with his name in it. This template UUID is pulled from my PandaDoc account. So this is just the template that I liked. And the way that you can find that UUID is by logging into your PandaDoc account, going over here to templates, clicking on the template that you want, and then the UUID is just this end part of the URL up here at the top. You'll see that this is going to match what I have over in N8N, which it does. Next, we're going to grab the email address from the client, which again is in that webhook trigger. Just drag and drop it over. Then the client name, we got that from the code node. The amount we got from the previous node, which was the code node. I just have this as a generic automation setup and then followed by the business name. So I have that built into the first code node. Right now, as I'm using test data, it does not have a business name provided, but normally you would get that information from that node. Let's execute this step and see if it works. So it looks like it does. Let's go in there to PandaDoc and make sure. I'm going to click on documents. Okay, and then this is the one that we just created. So our estimate for Bob Jones, I can come in here and review it, make sure that if there's any changes that I need to make, any tweaks, or if I want to adjust the price, etc., then I can make those changes and just click send. So obviously this is really specific to my use case, but you can use this for any service-based business, including your own. You would just need to tweak the system instructions to match your use case. So if you're taking sales calls on like a platform like Zoom, for example, you can still grab the transcript from there, run it through this workflow, and generate a proposal at the end. If you're building this for a client, you can build it for coaches, consultants, any service-based business, even home services. You can just record a quick voice note and say, this is what I saw in the customer's home. These are the issues that we need to address. This is what the price per square foot is, or the price is going to be. And then I want to send a proposal. And then that can, again, run through this workflow and generate a proposal without them having to be at a computer. So the sky is really the limit here. I'm going to have the blueprint for this if anyone wants it inside of my free school community. Now you know how to build a lead scoring and proposal generation system that you can not only use in your own business, but also sell to any service-based business on repeat. If you're a builder who knows how to build cool things, but you aren't generating consistent high-ticket income yet, click the link down below and grab my Proof to Profit course in my school community while it's still on sale. It walks you through the exact steps to start landing four-figure clients and retainers without months or years of trial and error. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.